we have a Malibu 21 VLX that has some issues with it. So this is an 05. The boat came in from another marina. The guy said he left it there for a while and they couldn't figure it out. I believe his entire complaint was that he would whack it to kind of get up on plane, get going, and it would fall on its face. So he left me with all the paperwork from the other place. They did things like spark plug, fuel pressure regulator, because apparently the fuel pressure was at 85 PSI and it was supposed to be at 55 PSI. They said the compression test was good, but the leak down on cylinders 3 and 4 were at 70%, while the rest were higher, like not higher, lower, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4%. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna verify that the leak down really is bad. I'm a little confused on how the compression numbers could be perfect up at 180 and the leak down could be so bad. But we're gonna go through, reconfirm, throw the bore scope in there, and actually see if it's an issue with rings or the block, or if it's just a head issue, if it's got like two-lipped valves or something. So I have Grant up in the boat right now. We're getting the manifolds off and out of the way. We're not gonna need to run it. If I need to key it up to check fuel pressure again, I can. But we're gonna start by throwing the camera in the exhaust ports and taking a look at those valves. And then from the inside of the cylinder, we're gonna take a look at the intake valves and see where we're at. We also are probably gonna take the valve covers off and just take a look from up there. But if you guys are interested in seeing me do this, make sure to keep on watching. This is gonna be a more in-depth technical video, so hopefully you guys enjoy. All right, so Grant got most of the hoses disconnected. Luckily, these are not seized, and I don't have to worry about snapping them. I'm gonna start from the outside. I like to leave the last one in the center. All the hose clamps are already disconnected. Grant popped those off. Just the 9/16 mounting bolts. No O2 sensors on these. I think someone had these off. Last bolt, I'm gonna kind of support it. Give her the old twist and pull. All right, manifold's out. I'm gonna pull the gasket out right away. Now we gotta do the same shit on the other side. Tell the people, Grant, why I can't just do that on this side.
What do you mean?
Cause you couldn't get a hose out. All right, that hose is out. Those clamps are off, that guy's off. This does have the updated, no it doesn't. So these Inmars had an issue with the fuel pumps. So if you look right here, this style fuel pump has the return going through the bracket. There's an updated style of this with a new pump, and then it eliminates the whole return through the bracket. It just bypasses. So that's something to keep in mind as we deal with fuel pressure issues. They also said they replaced the pump, and if they replaced it, they should have put that new kit in. That doesn't look new to me. So keep in mind, this guy already paid 1,800 bucks to have the boat fixed, and it's not fixed. Same shit, pop this guy out. There we go. All right, manifolds are out. Let me grab my bore scope. All right, so just to give you an example, I got the camera in and I'm looking at the back side of this exhaust valve. The seat looks pretty good on that side. The problem cylinders are 3 and 4, so 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8. So this is our problem child. The fuck is that? There's still just a shitload of buildup, so that could be a manifold issue that's letting water in. We could pressure test the manifolds. But first, I'm gonna take a look at the cylinders, so I'm gonna pop all these spark plug wires out. What number? 41-110s. We don't have the right fucking plugs in here, so that's cool. All right, let's pop the spark plugs out and take a look at the cylinders. Plugs don't look bad. Let's take a look in this side. Bank 1 cylinders. Can still see the cross hatching in the cylinders. Cylinder walls look real nice. So pistons look okay, cylinder walls look okay. There's just some weird shit building up on the backside of the valves. The cylinder 1 has that big hunk of whatever the fuck that is. It looks like hot weld. So this is a cylinder leak down tester. This gets threaded into the spark plug hole. What we need to do is bump the motor over with a little bumper. And we're gonna go until it's at top dead center of the compression stroke, so both valves are closed. What we do is we start turning up the pressure here. So if I turn this up, I'm gonna turn it up to 100 PSI. When I'm at 100, if there's no air coming out, it'll match on this side. If there is a leak like this, say it's leaking at 80 PSI, we do the math on it and then figure out what the percent leak down is. Theoretically, it should be holding within 10%. I think 10% is the allowable value, but we'll see what she's at. We're connected into the cylinder. I went through, I made sure it's at top dead center. Both rockers are loose, pistons all the way up. I used the borescope to verify that. I'm gonna start adding air. I'm not gonna be saying a lot because I wanna hear where the air is coming out if it is leaking out. The other thing, with no spark plugs in, the engine could roll over. It could push the piston down, but we'll deal with that if we get to that point. But I wanna hear, I should be able to hear it come out the intake. If it's the intake valve, I could hear it come out this exhaust port right here, or feel it since I have the manifold off. Or if I hear it going somewhere and I can't figure it out, I pull the dipstick out and I hear positive pressure coming out of there, then I'll know. But I'm gonna start adding air. Now we gotta restart. Rolled the engine over. 100 PSI, we're sitting at around 95, so 5 PSI leak down is 5%. I can feel air coming out the exhaust valve. But they said it was 70% leak down. But I can feel that 5 PSI coming out the exhaust valve. It's coming out the front edge. All right, let me shut this off. We're gonna go through and do the rest of them and see where they're all at. And then we'll pick back up with you guys after. So the numbers on their compression test are on cylinders 1 and 4, 190, 185. So those are really good compression numbers, okay? Their leak down percentage, they said cylinders 3 and 4 are close to the 70% mark, need to replace motor. 3 and 4 leak down is 63% and 70%. Our leak down numbers for 3 and 4 are actual 3 and 4. 100 PSI we put in, we got 76 out, 4, 100 to 89. Okay, so that's 11% loss. Cylinders 1 and 2 were, now that I highlighted it, I can't fucking read it.
I think it says 21.
100 to 21, and then 100 to 28. So fucking, they had the wrong cylinders marked. There was bad leak down, okay? And we verified it's coming out the exhaust valves and nowhere else. So our exhaust valve seats are shit, they're blown. I don't know if the valves are tulipped, but one thing that I took in mind, when I pulled the manifold off, all that dust came from the inside of the boot. Okay, that usually means that the rubber was overheated. Did it overheat and tulip some of the valves? I don't think so. Nothing else looks burnt, like you would see the impeller housing have paint melted off of it. It doesn't. So they had the wrong cylinders marked, which maybe the tech gave him the numbers but forgot which cylinders it was on, and he knew they were across, so he just picked 2 cylinders. Either way, they're recommending replacing the engine, which I kind of understand, because most shops around here won't do a valve job. They'll just fucking put a long block in it. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, how is the compression number so high within 5% of all the other ones, but we're leaking 80%, 80% out the valve? So for the fuck of it, I'm gonna grab my compression tester and we're gonna do those 2 cylinders and just see what they're at and confirm. Am I being stupid? Or with 80% leak down, you would think the compression number would be lower because as it's coming up, it can't make full compression because it's leaking out the exhaust valve, right? Ugh. All right, compression tester, this is cylinder 2. Okay, so with battery pressure, the first one we got was 50, but we're sitting right around 100 PSI in this cylinder. Right down cylinder 2, 100 PSI. So 145 PSI, which I kind of thought, like they're saying 190 PSI, these first come brand new, like 160 PSI. So 145, on cylinder 4. About 140. Almost exactly the same, 140. Okay. That one's now accurate, 120 on cylinder 1. That one's at 140. We're not going to get the last cylinder, but we kind of know that it's not shit. Okay. So that kind of confirms things. That compression actually is lower, so I don't think those numbers were accurate at all. Now, for anyone that's going to say, you're using a Pittsburgh compression tester. Yes, but we can confirm this, and I might even do it now. You put a fitting on the other end that clips into this, and then you put shop air, so I know that compressor holds tank pressure at 120 psi, and then I just confirm on here that it sits right at 120. That's how you verify these gauges. This one's been done many times. It's accurate. Okay, so our cylinder 1 leak down went down to 28 psi, so it's at 72% leak down. And cylinder 1 compression's at 120. Cylinder 2 compression is lower, it's at 100, but our leak down's also more. So we have 79% leak down. And we're at 100 psi, 120. The rest of the cylinders seem to be okay. Now, keep in mind, this customer's entire complaint is that the engine runs fine. Okay, he's got power, but when he hits it, it lags. The thing I don't like is that it has the original fuel pump in it. So I might have to jump ignition power, but I think let's do a fuel pressure test and just see key on at idle what the fuel pressure is supposed to be. Because in their notes, they say the fuel pressure is supposed to be 55 psi, which is completely wrong. On this style with the inline fuel pump, at idle it's supposed to be around 32 psi, and then it comes up as you rev it up, but still around 30 psi is what we're supposed to be at. So let's quickly confirm fuel pressure just so there aren't any questions.
Like 42, 43. 40, it's like 42, 43.
42, 43. So a little high. So 42 psi key up, which is a little high, but I guess that's okay. See, but their number was off still. I just want to make sure they did the pressure regulator like they said they did. Oh yeah, the regulator looks new. No vacuum line off the regulator though. All right, so we know fuel pressure is within the realm of where it's supposed to be. I still don't like that it doesn't have the original pump set up. Or not the original, but the updated one. The only thing I worry is that we bring up the compression on those two cylinders and he still has the same issue, and it's a fuel related issue rather than this. This does need to be fixed. It should be fixed so that you have full power on the boat, especially on a boat like this that surfs and skis and does all that. But I guess now that it's winter, we can't really like test it. Normally what I would do in this situation is I would run it on the lake with the fuel pressure tester installed, and then you whack it and watch fuel pressure, see if it drops down instead of coming up. Usually if it's dogging, fuel pressure drops down to like 5 psi, which these will run on 5 psi fuel pressure, but it dogs and then it comes back up. That's when it's time for the pump. So we can't really be thorough in that aspect, but at least we could get the head job done, have compression back to where it's supposed to be. Then come springtime, we throw her on the lake and then verify, because if it is the pump, it's a quick job. And also we have a new sponsor that I already looked it up. They do have this fuel pump on that site, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. But usually you go through the manufacturer. It's a Pierberg pump, but Inmar sells it. But the new kit gets rid of that entire bracket with all the, essentially right now the bracket, let me draw this shit out. Okay, so the original pumps had your feed at the bottom from the tank, and then it had a return here as well as a return here. There's a whole bunch of bracketry going through here, and then from here to the rail. The new pump doesn't have any of this. It gets rid of that. It gets rid of this return entirely, and you go up and it fucking bypasses all that, and then your return just flows straight through. So the new style is better. They did it for a reason, and this was a super common failure point on these motors. I've personally done probably, my guess, 60 of them. So yeah, that's something to worry about, but for now we're gonna go ahead with the head job. I just gotta call him, let him know everything, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, we're gonna finish this up. So I already have the intake loose or the upper intake plenum from setting up fuel pressure. Right now I'm gonna disconnect throttle cable and then the wiring for the throttle body, get the upper intake out, then probably lower intake and the wiring harness, like all the fuel rails and shit, injector plugs, coolant temp sensor, and the hoses in the front for thermostat and all that. Get that off, whip it out, and then pop these heads off. These heads are gonna get sent out. What they do when we send them out, I'll show you when we're out of the boat, but they're gonna do all new valves and grind new valve seats, or put new seats in, grind them to match the valve. And then they're also gonna deck them, valve stem seals, kind of the whole nine. So if we're having them out, they're gonna do all of them. I'm not just gonna do those 2 cylinders. So it'll all be brand new. And then they said they're about a week out. So once they come back, we'll have another video reinstalling, and then we'll redo all of our tests on this. So we'll redo the leak down test to make sure those numbers came up, compression, all that. And then we'll run it. But in the meantime, we're gonna be doing some fiberglass work on this boat too. So we'll have that in the middle. But yeah, let's get these heads off. All right, so we got everything disconnected. The upper intake manifold's off. We did all the intake bolts. There's 8, there's the 8-bolt intake. Wiring harness, the water hoses in the front, the 4 of those are disconnected. The distributors pulled out, and fuel lines disconnected. If you're gonna do the fuel line, you need the special fuel line disconnect tool that they have anywhere, including Harbor Freight. Now we'll crack the seal off, and our intake manifold can be removed. Okay, so as you can see, we got the heads off. The cylinders don't look bad at all. We kind of confirmed this with the bore scope already, but you can still see all the cross hatching, and there's no scraping, none of that. Same thing with the other side. So we got the head gaskets off, and this is all okay. So let's take a look at the heads. Tenderize them.
Sponsor us, Red Bull. He wants to be a Red Bull sponsor.
All right, fellas, follow me. So in front of us, we have our bank 2 head. So outside, inside, front of the motor, back of the motor. Give this old girl the old flipperooski. So our problem child is the exhaust valve on cylinder 1. So we're gonna see if there's anything kind of obvious sticking out at us. There's some buildup on it, but it really doesn't look too crazy bad. Yeah, I'm not even gonna fuck with it. Let's take a look. So this is bank 2. This is bank 1, so that would be front. Bank 1 valves, same shit, nothing really obvious, but when we did our leak down test, you could hear how badly it was blowing out of the exhaust seat. Oh no shit. You can see the gap. So if you look from underneath, you can kind of see how raised it is on this bottom end, so we tulip the valve. So it's seated here, here, and maybe around the top, but it's lifted here and probably like up here. That's really hard to see, but it is lifted. So that's why these guys are getting replaced. So that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you guys liked coming along diagnosing this with us. In the meantime, like I said, we're gonna do some fiberglass work on this boat. These are gonna get sent out, and they're gonna get all new valves, new seats ground in, all the seals, and then we'll order head gaskets, intake manifold, and I believe that's it for what we have to order. And then the next video you guys see on this boat, we'll be reassembling everything, doing the tests, and then we'll run it here in the shop. By that time, it's already freezing out, so we're keeping it in the heated shop, but once we run it again, we'll confirm and then winterize it. And then running it, we can verify fuel pressure and all that stuff. But there's not going to be too much we can do because we can't lake test it. So come springtime, we'll have him drop the boat back off, we'll lake test it, and make sure everything's all good for the guy. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what videos we have coming up for you guys to look forward to. A lot of fiberglass. Oh, we also have a Mercruiser 4.3, literally a complete motor with the transom and drive that we're going to be going through, and this entire thing is going to be going into a wooden boat. So that'll be a fun project. We'll strip it down and kind of go through it. He's going to put this in a wooden boat, and he wants it to be reliable. So we'll go through everything on this motor. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook, ST Marine WI, TikTok, I believe it's ST Marine or buschfishin. Posting over there. YouTube shorts, everything. But for now, we're gonna do some painting and drop these heads off. Okay, bye.